Controlling behavior doesn't always look toxic AF at first. And here's the crazy thing about it. Sometimes it's mistaken for love, and others see it that way too. They're just like, wow, he or she is just so madly in love with you. It's because they care. But maybe deep inside, you do wonder. There is a part of you that's like, is this too good to be true? And not from a trauma place of, I've had a lot of shit and catastrophe happen in my past. So is this too good to be true? Is the shoe going to drop? Like, we're not going to go there right now. But what I will say is that when you start to kind of feel like, is this too good to be true? He says or she says that I'm just the best thing they've ever met. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, your relationship goes from feeling amazing and great to walking on those fucking eggshells. So we are going to be talking a lot about today on Carla Turned On what controlling behavior looks like when it comes to dating and relationships, because there always is a start to these type of things. I will tell you this right now. Anytime that I'm ever dealing with a client who is like, I came from a controlling relationship, there was a lot of criticism, or they use the word abuse. And usually in those sentences, I'm like, yep, So let me ask you this moving forward. Was there a time, and I'm not blaming the person when I ask this, that you knew something wasn't right in your gut, but maybe you painted those red flags green? Majority of the time, I have clients say yes. But there was always a reason to why. And I can tell you this from personal experience of being in a controlling relationship in my early 20s. It was an abusive relationship. And I can tell you right now, there were absolutely signs. But I always found a reason of, oh, well, it's because of this or because of that. So we don't paint red flags green on Carla Turned On. And then, of course, we are going to get into our taco section, talking about coming and orgasms. That's what taco stands for. And we will also be going into what sex looks like when it becomes about control and no longer about pleasure for both people, and what that slippery slope can look like and how you should absolutely be watching out for it. But first, welcome to Carla Turned On, where dating and relationships get real, sex gets talked about, and the BS gets left on red. Let's get turned on. Here's the effed up thing about control, okay? And I'm going to just say this right now. It can absolutely look like somebody is caring for you. And this is so mind-fucking in a relationship or the early stages or once you're deep into a relationship, because you're like, I don't feel like maybe this is caring or I'm being actually cared for, or I guess this is love. I guess I'm going to tell myself that. And it can just start to feel really, really confusing. I'm also going to put a disclaimer in here because I think it's really important for people to understand this, that when you are in a controlling relationship, it doesn't matter. Sometimes men are controlling, sometimes women are controlling. When you look at statistics for abusive relationships, it's about equal men and women, okay? So it's really important here to note that a lot of times we think about men and women, it doesn't matter. It's not just women who are thinking this. Think about abusive or controlling relationships to be from the perspective of, oh, it's a man doing it to a woman. There are so many women out there who are also abusive toward men in relationships, their partners. And I will also say this as well. It can look different, okay? So we'll get into another episode all around abuse, but I just want to put that little disclaimer in here while we're talking about this, because I have had so many male clients of mine have controlling partners of their past, even controlling partners that they were trying to navigate whether they wanted to be in a relationship with this person or not. And obviously, I've had lots of women clients who've experienced controlling partners who are male. So it goes both ways. But what the hell does controlling behavior even look like? So let's back the F up for just a moment here. And I'm just going to point blank tell you right now that when you are coming from a place of dating, you're excited. You're like, oh my gosh, this person's awesome. This is great. Maybe they start to kind of buy you some gifts. It feels really good. You're like, this feels good. Okay. And maybe it feels like a lot, or they're like, hey, this was an amazing first date. Let's go on another. What are you doing tomorrow night? Let's do it. Let's do our second date. And you're like, oh my God, this feels good. Finally, it feels nice to go on a date with somebody who wants to go on another date immediately. It shows that they like me, that there's interest. And I'm just so burned out with dating and I just can't stand it. Or maybe you're coming from a vulnerable place. You're coming from an unhealthy relationship that ended. And you're like, finally, somebody's treating me right. Somebody's showing interest. They care. All of these things can start to mask really what's going on. Now, if you come from a place like I once did, which was codependency rooted in low self esteem, we do an entire episode all around codependency, a couple episodes back if you want to kind of check that out. But it was the I'm not enough or I'm not a lovable, so I need to prove that I am to show my worth. Okay, so there's many reasons of why, like the whys of why this behavior of somebody love bombing in the sense of giving you so many gifts and admiration. Oh my God, I've never met somebody like you before. You're just incredible. That all of a sudden you're like, ooh, this feels really good. And why you would want more and more of it versus being like, this is a red flag and this seems a little sus and this person's moving really quick and it seems really weird. Okay. Because once maybe you've done the healing around that piece, you see it for what it is. But if you hadn't, or you're in a vulnerable place emotionally, then you might be susceptible to people who are controlling. So don't blame yourself. This is not victim blaming. I'm not saying it's your fault because you felt this way or thought this way, but you're more susceptible to being in relationships or being like, oh my God, this is amazing with somebody that you're dating. Okay. But it can also start out as amazing. So most of these relationships start out amazing. It's great, but there's always a little baby inkling that maybe something's not quite right. This is what you want to pay attention to. It gets often ignored. And this is one of the biggest signs that something is off is your fucking gut. Follow your damn gut every single time. I talk about this in my book, Contagious Love, Break Free from Codependency for Damn Good. Follow your damn gut. And just a side note, welcome to Carla Turned On. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're awesome. And if you're returning and you're like, Carla, we've been hanging out, you're the fucking best. So long story shorter, if you're interested in working together or want any support, I offer Ask Me Anythings, one-on-one coaching sessions. I offer different guides like No Filter, the sex guide every dater needs, Swipe Match Spark, the ultimate dating app guide. You can find all of that in the show notes or go to carlaromo.com. And of course, if you like listening to this podcast, give us 5 stars wherever you're listening right now. It helps get the word out about this podcast. All right, let's get back into it. So when you are in this dating phase and things start to shift, this is how you know that the controlling behavior is starting to come out. There starts to be constant texting and check-ins. So totally healthy to create secure check-ins and texting. But I always tell my clients early on, when it is like all day, every day, or it starts to seem a little weird, like you're out with your friends and you told the person, hey, I'm going out with my friends tonight. And then all of a sudden your phone starts blowing up. There's lots of texts. Maybe they even call you. They're, oh, who are you with? Tell them hi. And it might at first seem like they're trying to connect with you. And you might even feel like this is so awesome. They're like reaching out. They want to be part of my life. This feels really nice. But really, what's going on is they're starting to kind of create this an illusion, okay? They're showing you and they're bringing you in right now. Oh, they care. They like me. They want to show up and text me. But really, what's going on is I'm going to turn this and I'm going to start to use it as a way to manage and control you of your location and your whereabouts. Another really big thing that people say is, oh, I just worry about you. Okay, let's break that one down for just a moment. Yes, 100%. Once again, this is where it can feel confusing and it can feel like somebody's caring. Because the signs of somebody caring about you, of course, are they going to say, I was just worried about you. But again, it's in the context of knowing that you're in a safe place, knowing that you told them, hey, I'm going to be, at work later, or I'm, out with friends, or I've got this workout class, but then your phone blows up, you get a bunch of texts, and of course it just follows with, oh, I was just worried about you. I hadn't heard from you. And like I said, at first you might feel like, oh yeah, this feels good. But then it starts to take a turn. Another thing too is like you feeling guilty when you want space. So you're trying to be like, hey, like, I get that you want to text a lot when I'm with my friends, but I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be rude or I'm not trying to, push you away. However, like it's hard to text back. And then you start to feel guilty. All right. You start to have an emotional response that you owe this person something. You feel bad, like you've done something wrong when you haven't done anything wrong at all. It's healthy to go hang out with your guy friends and it's healthy to go hang out with your girlfriends. And this one can be really big. This is a huge red flag. Hey, real quick, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want dating support, don't forget to look in the notes below where you can learn all about my guides and how to work with me. And if you want to follow me on my socials, you can find me anywhere at I am Carla Romo. Let's get turned on, is wanting access to everything. This is like boom, in your face controlling behavior. They want to know where you're located. And a lot of people who are dating or in relationships share locations. That's fine. It's when it's used in the context of controlling behavior, masked as caring, that it's problematic. So they can watch every move and then you start getting questioned. You start getting questioned. Oh, I thought you said that you were only going to go over to their house for however many minutes or time or whatever. And you stayed later. So then you start to feel like, oh no, I'm doing something wrong. That's where the guilt can start to come out. And this is where it takes a turn and can become super unhealthy. And I'm gonna be just brutally honest with you because that's how I keep it on Carla Turned On. Not all controlling behavior is super loud. Some of it actually slowly suffocates you. And that can feel very intense and very scary. These are the 5 signs your dating or relationship is becoming unhealthy because the person is controlling. Number 1, you over-explain yourself. Okay? This isn't just coming from like a people-pleasing place that you're like, oh, I just over-explain. No, this is coming from a place of you feeling like you have to justify your behavior. Number 2, you avoid upsetting them. So yeah, walking on eggshells. You do not want to upset them. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want them to see you differently. You're trying to control the narrative here. That is not healthy behavior on your part, but it's because they're trying to control you. 3, they get weird about friends or social media. If you are not doing anything sketchy and you are being appropriate and you have boundaries and they're projecting that onto you, that is where it starts to cross the line of becoming unhealthy. And if they're not taking responsibility for why that's unhealthy on their part, bigger red flag. Number 4 is you feel monitored. They're checking your location. Hey, text me when you get here. Text me when you're leaving. And this is not, okay, this is why it can seem caring. This is not from a place of, oh, like, yeah, text me when you get home. I want to make sure you get home safely. This is from a place of, I want to know where every move is. So then when they start to hyper focus into every single thing you do, and you have to start to rely on them to be able to tell them wherever you are, that's a big red flag. And number 5, your independence starts to shrink. So you no longer feel like you have as much autonomy, which is being able to be your own individual self with your own choices. They start to maybe judge you or control you around how long you're hanging out with people or where you're going or what you're wearing. Ooh, you're really going to wear that? And they might start to put you down. Even the way you look, to the point where you no longer feel good about yourself. You no longer feel like you're making individual choices that are best for you. And this is key, is that healthy relationships do not make you feel like you need permission to exist in this world. You do not need permission. And if you start to notice any of these things that's chipping away or you identify with that, that is a massive red flag to go, hold on 1 second. I need to take a step back. I got to reevaluate this stuff for myself because you want to make sure you're taking care of you and there's nothing you can do to change this person. If somebody's controlling, they're controlling. And the reality is you're not crazy. If you're falling or if you if you've fallen into the trap of being around controlling people because it's manipulative behavior. And as a result, some of the most educated, strongest people who are even psychologists, have PhDs in psychology, they even fall into traps of this. Okay. So it's not like, oh, you're a weak person because you fell into it. But there are some things to note, at least, of why this might be happening. Intensity feels romantic. So you like the highs, the lows. It feels good. There's passion. Things are great. No, that's a pause. And then the other thing too is, like I said in the beginning, control can feel flattering AF at first. You're like, whoa, this person likes me. This feels good. They care about where I'm located. They want me to wear something that looks good on me. This is so great. No, that is controlling behavior. And it's something that you really want to be careful of, especially if they're trying to monitor who you're texting, who you're friends with. Not cool at all. And here's a red flag that people miss all the time is that they're not controlling all the time. So there's an ebb and flow because look, if they were controlling constantly, you might not stay in the relationship or you might not continue dating this person. But when there's a ebb and flow pushback kind of vibe, then you'd be like, okay, well, I'm justifying their behavior. They just care or they get a little, controlling sometimes, but it's okay. No, that's still a red flag. And then another one, possession is not love. So it is important to also recognize that being able to have your autonomy, being able to make choices, being able to feel like you can move freely within the relationship is healthy. I always say this too. A lot of controlling people want to rush relationships in the beginning. And like I said, you might feel flattered. It might feel great. And that is a massive red flag that you miss. And then once you're in the relationship, like I said, there can be sort of this like ebb and flow of control. It can happen all the time or not as much, and you can go through phases. But if they're never taking responsibility and acknowledging what they're creating or doing to you, if you have a conversation or you get upset, red flags, serious red flags. And at the end of the day, this isn't to scare you, but it is to at least make you feel aware of what could potentially be happening if you find yourself in these types of situations. All right, let's shift gears just a little bit. I mean, we're only shifting them slightly because now we're talking about sex. We are in our taco section, which is talking about coming and orgasms. And when sex can start to look controlling, and what that exactly looks like. And this is important to understand because we, a lot of times as a society, talk about sex in a way that is about pleasure or, we don't really talk about the problems. We talk about how amazing it is to your friends and this and that. But a lot of people feel shame around maybe feeling uncomfortable with sex or feeling like they can't talk with others about it or they'll be judged for discussing it. And especially when it comes to control with sex, this is where a lot of people shut down, men and women, and do not want to talk about it at all. And that's a red flag right there that maybe something is seriously off if you feel that you can't talk with somebody else about it when you're concerned. These are the three major red flags when sex becomes all about control. Number one, guilt tripping you after rejection. Doesn't matter if you've been dating somebody for a short time. Doesn't matter if you've been dating somebody for a long ass time or you're in a committed relationship. It really doesn't matter. What we're talking about guilt tripping when it comes to sex is, hey, I'm really feeling tired. I just don't really feel up for sex tonight. Can we just have sex later this week? And then that person, instead of just saying to you, okay, totally get it. Maybe they're a little bummed. They're like, damn, I wanted to have sex tonight, but I'm a little bummed. All good, fine. Right? That's okay to express in a relationship that, hey, I'm feeling a little bummed about this. It was a little vulnerable to ask to have sex. And, okay, that's fine. Understood. Right? But to then guilt trip somebody and make them feel bad for saying no is a massive red flag. It is blaring in your face red because that person is now using sex as a way to control you. You didn't even have to have sex for them to control you, if that makes sense to you. A lot of times we think about sex and consent, right? As like, okay, it's you have sex or you don't. But control happens with the actions around a topic or around a situation. So, for example, if you're going to be guilt tripped and somebody's like, I'm just tired, I'm not really, feeling it, I'm sorry. Like, but can we have sex maybe like later this week? And that person's like, oh, you never want to have sex. God, it's been so long. And, it's just, I'm getting tired over here. And, it's always about you being tired and never about my needs, but that's fine. We don't have to have sex. To me, that's manipulation. That's not a healthy, constructive way to express, hey, I'm feeling vulnerable right now and my needs aren't being met. There's other ways to talk about that. And there's lots of episodes around talking about sex in a healthy way on Carla Turned On. But people need to understand that that is not appropriate behavior when somebody says no, to guilt trip them. Number two, feeling entitled to your body and your time. Whew, this is a big one. So this can look a lot like somebody just wanting to have sex with you whenever and then making you feel like and pressuring you that, hey, let's have sex. We need to have sex every day or we need to have sex this amount of times. And they're running the show. And you're kind of like, hey, I don't really want to be woken up in the middle of the night. And that's not something I want to do. I'm asleep. I had a client tell me that she had a partner who literally woke her up in the middle of the night where she did not want to have sex and she was really upset by it. And so it's important here to think about for yourself, okay, of where are your boundaries? What's your autonomy? And look, that person crossed the boundary. Like that is using sex as control. That person feels that they are entitled to that person's body and that it's whatever they want and whenever they want. Now, of course, like I said, some can ebb and flow. Maybe you go through a period of somebody acting that way and then they pull back more. And then it's that like push and pull, hot and cold. But the reality is that nobody has full access to your body and your time. That is something that you have to have a conversation around. I also had a client who it's a guy and And a lot of times, yeah, we don't talk a lot about men and women and the control dynamics, but I think it's important too. He was in a relationship with somebody. They're no longer together, but they were in a relationship. And she had a higher sex drive than he did. And she would always feel upset around the fact that like he didn't want to have sex with her as often. And so instead, she would just be like, we just need to have sex. So we just need to do this because if we don't, like it shows that we're not in a good relationship. That's controlling, that she was on her own agenda and not the relationship's agenda, not her partner's agenda. Okay. So that is also an unhealthy way to go about this. And number 3, acting cold if you say no. Yep. Giving you the cold shoulder, ignoring you, acting different, changing the mood entirely. I get maybe you were excited to have sex and you feel disappointed, and that's a normal human reaction. But when you punish somebody and act cold toward them because they said no, that is a red flag. That is a massive red flag. Once again, it kind of reminds me of number 2. It's like that person doesn't have free access and time to your body. Okay. So you get to protect yourself and what's best for you. Nobody else can decide or determine what that looks like. Consent isn't just about saying yes, it's about feeling safe of saying no. If somebody only feels secure when they have control over you emotionally, physically, or sexually, that is not love. Real love allows autonomy and for you to be your full fucking self. Loved this episode? Rate it 5 stars, hit that subscribe button, baby, and leave a review. Do you want to work with me? Grab my dating courses, apply for my coaching at carlaromo.com or find it all in the show notes, and give me a little follow at I am Carla Romo on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Catch you next time and stay tuned. Carla Turned On is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is not a substitute for therapy. For professional support, please reach out to a licensed mental health provider.